My brother swapped lives with me to escape our parents, but he never came back. I used to think being the quiet one meant I was safe, invisible. Turns out, that just made me easier to replace. My twin brother, Caleb, was the storm. Loud, reckless, magnetic. The kind of kid who could charm his way out of a burning building while I stood there choking on the smoke. We were identical, mirror images. Same hair, same eyes, same voice. But the world never treated us like we were the same. He was fire. I was the shadow. Growing up, that made things simpler. I'd take the hits when no one was looking, and he'd take the spotlight when things went well. It worked until it didn't. The first time Caleb talked about running away, I thought he was bluffing. We were 14. Our dad had just broken the hallway mirror after Caleb looked at him the wrong way. My mom cleaned it up in silence like always, sweeping the shards into a dustpan like it was just another Tuesday. But Caleb, he sat on the back porch that night, eyes locked on the stars like he could will himself into the sky. "I'm not gonna die in that house," he said. "I'd rather disappear." I didn't know what to say, because the truth was, part of me wished I had the guts to vanish first. Then came the plan, simple, stupid, brilliant. "We switch," Caleb said one night, pacing our bedroom like a general planning an invasion. "Just for a week." I stared at him. "You want me to pretend to be you?" He nodded. "I've got a friend downtown, says I can crash on his couch. But if I leave, they'll track me. If you disappear, though," he didn't finish the thought. "Didn't have to. If I disappeared, they wouldn't care. Maybe they'd think I finally snapped, or that I got lost inside my own silence." I knew what he meant. "Just a week," he repeated. "You do your thing. Lay low. I'll be back before anyone notices." I should have said no. I should have thought it through. But instead, I looked at the bruises on his ribs, the way he winced when he sat down, and I said, "Okay." That night, we swapped hoodies and backpacks. I wore his cologne. He took my school ID. We practiced each other's handwriting. He taught me how to walk like him. Confident, loose, like he didn't care about anything. I showed him how to blend in, how to disappear into the background like wallpaper. The switch happened on a Tuesday. I remember because we always had meatloaf on Tuesdays, and it was the one meal neither of us could stomach. He left after school, just walked out the side gate, and didn't look back. I watched him disappear down the alley, hands stuffed in his pockets, not even a glance over his shoulder. I waited. 1 day, 2, 5. The first week passed like fog, cold, silent, strange. I kept my head down, wore his clothes, talked back in class just enough to stay in character. At home, Mom didn't notice a thing. She was always more focused on the sink than our faces. Dad barked a few things at me, but nothing worse than usual. The act was working. Except, he never called. Never texted. By day 9, I stopped sleeping. At school, people started asking weird questions. "Didn't you already turn in this project? Why are you being so quiet, Caleb?" I covered it with shrugs, grunts, smirks. But inside, I was screaming. Then came the message. It showed up on Caleb's old burner phone, the one he kept under his mattress. I only found it because I was tearing the room apart, desperate for something, anything, that would prove he hadn't just vanished. One unread text. "You shouldn't have come back." No number. No name. Just that. I stared at it for 10 minutes, heart pounding like it wanted out of my chest. "Come back from where?" I called the number. Straight to voicemail. I texted back. "Where are you?" No response. That's when I realized something was wrong. Not just runaway wrong. Not just I needed space wrong. This was deeper. Twisted. He hadn't run away. He was running from something. And I had just walked straight into it, wearing his name. I thought I was doing him a favor. Thought I was giving him space to breathe, to figure things out. Maybe even start over. That's what brothers do, right? They cover for each other. But when I unzipped his backpack and saw what he left behind, I stopped breathing. There was no cash, no burner phone, no toothbrush, not even his sketchbook, the one thing he never went anywhere without. Just one thing, wrapped in a black hoodie at the bottom of the bag. A small, sealed envelope. No name on it. Just a red smudge on the corner. Maybe lipstick, maybe blood. I couldn't tell. I sat on the floor with it in my hands, just staring. My heart kept saying open it now, but something deeper, darker, whispered don't. I opened it anyway. Inside was a folded sheet of notebook paper, torn, rushed, like it was written in panic. There were only 2 sentences. "If something happens to me, don't go to the police. Don't trust anyone named Ray. That's it. That's all he left me. I reread it 5 times, trying to make sense of it. Who the hell was Ray? And why the warning? I didn't know anyone by that name. Not at school, not in our neighborhood. But the way he underlined it, twice, made it feel like a scream on paper. I should have called someone. A teacher. The school counselor. Anyone. But I didn't. Because the second I looked up and caught my reflection in the mirror, wearing his clothes, holding that note, I realized something no one else had. To the world. I was Caleb now, and that meant they might be coming for me. The first time I felt washed was the next morning. I was walking down Maple Avenue, same route Caleb always took, when I noticed a silver car parked near the corner. Windows tinted. Engine running. Just sitting there. I looked once. Didn't think much of it. Looked again. Still there. When I crossed the street, it pulled forward. Not fast. Just enough to keep pace. I ducked into a coffee shop and waited by the window. Watched that car roll by slowly. The driver's face hidden in shadow. No plates on the front. I didn't breathe until it was gone. At school, things got worse. People started whispering behind my back. A girl Caleb used to flirt with, Amber, asked me why I was acting weird. Weird how? I asked. She gave me a look like I'd just spoken another language. You never forget my name. You always hold the door open. You told me once that my perfume smelled like strawberry pie. And now you walk past like I'm invisible. I didn't have an answer. Because the truth was, I never said any of that. That was him. She waited for me to say something. I just shrugged and walked away. 10 steps later, I heard her mutter. What's your problem, Caleb? It hit me like a punch to the ribs. I wasn't just covering for him anymore. I was becoming him. That night, I went back to the note. Stared at the name again. Ray. I flipped through his old notebooks, the ones he used to doodle in during class. Mostly sketches of monsters and cities. Caleb always had a thing for fantasy art. But in the back of one, tucked behind a half-finished drawing of a dragon eating a cop car, I found a list. Just names. Some crossed out. Some circled. One of them, Ray, had 3 question marks next to it. Below it, asked Derek. My blood went cold. Derek was Caleb's old friend. Sketchy guy. Dropped out last year. Used to hang around the back of the school parking lot like a ghost. I hadn't seen him in months. But if anyone knew who Ray was, it'd be him. I found Derek 2 days later, hanging around an old skate park behind the strip mall. He looked rough, skinnier than I remembered, twitchy, chain-smoking like his lungs were already gone. Caleb, he said, squinting at me. I nodded slowly, not sure whether to correct him. You look different. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out the notebook and showed him the name. Who's Ray? The cigarette dropped from his lips. He looked around, lowered his voice. You shouldn't be asking about that. Why not? Because last guy who did. He leaned closer. Got jumped in an alley. Couple months back. Said he was working on something with Caleb. What kind of something? Derek shook his head. I didn't ask. Don't want to know. But you know who Ray is. He nodded, reluctantly. He runs this underground poker ring. Backroom at Jarvis Cleaners, 3 nights a week. People go there to win fast cash or lose their teeth. I stared at him, stunned. Caleb, my brother, was into this? What was he doing there? I asked. Derek didn't meet my eyes. All I know is he owed someone a lot of money. Said he had a plan to make it back. A plan. Derek just shook his head again. You sure you're Caleb? The way he looked at me sent chills down my spine. I gotta go, I said, backing away. I didn't stop moving until I was 3 blocks from the skate park. Because the truth was finally starting to settle in my bones. Caleb didn't just run away. He vanished into a world I never knew existed. And now, I was wearing his face. And whatever debt he owed, someone out there thought it was mine. I used to think the worst thing that could happen was being forgotten. Turns out, being mistaken for someone else is way worse. Especially when that someone had secrets buried in the dark, the kind of secrets that don't stay buried for long. It happened in the school hallway, right outside the chemistry lab. I was heading to class like normal, trying to keep my head down, when a hand clamped around my arm. Hard. I turned fast, expecting to see a teacher, maybe a classmate. But the guy who grabbed me wasn't from around here. Too old. Maybe 25. Sunglasses indoors. Scarred down one cheek like a knife had kissed him on the way out of a fight. He leaned in close and said 3 words. Low. Sharp. Glass-eyed Jack. I froze. That was Caleb's phrase. His dumb little code word he made up years ago. Said it was our secret panic phrase. If something ever went bad, if he was ever in danger and couldn't explain why, that's what he'd say. Glass-eyed Jack. It was childish, ridiculous. And now this stranger was whispering it in my ear like a threat. My mouth went dry. He pulled me closer. You were supposed to be gone, he muttered. What the hell are you doing back? I swallowed hard, trying to remember how Caleb would respond. Play it cool. Play it tough. I shrugged. Plans changed. He didn't like that answer. His grip tightened. You think Ray's gonna be okay with that? I didn't answer. Couldn't. He let go slowly, but not all the way. Jarvis. Tonight. Don't make me come find you again. And then, just like that, he vanished into the crowd. Like he hadn't just shattered my reality with 3 words. That night, I couldn't eat. Couldn't think. I just sat on the edge of the bathtub, staring at my reflection, trying to figure out who the hell Caleb had become and what kind of trouble he'd dragged me into. Glass-eyed Jack. He only told me that phrase. Not Derek. Not his friends. Me. So either this guy had known Caleb really well, or he'd hurt him, or both. I felt like I was choking on air. Every part of me wanted to disappear, to burn the clothes I was wearing, erase my face, run. But I didn't. Because something had shifted. This wasn't just about covering for Caleb anymore. This was about finding him, even if it killed me. Jarvis Cleaners sat on the edge of town, half a mile past the last bus stop, hidden between an abandoned liquor store and a pawn shop that hadn't had power in a year. I got there at 9:48 p.m., heart hammering like a war drum. The neon sign buzzed weakly above the door. Open blinked and read a lie. Inside, the front room looked normal. Quiet. Empty. Just a humming dryer and the faint smell of bleach. But in the back, past the employees-only door, something else. 2 thick guys stood there, guarding it like bulldozers in hoodies. I walked up, trying to channel Caleb's swagger. He always moved like nothing could touch him, even when he was bleeding. They didn't say a word, just looked at me. And one of them reached out, slowly, and pressed something into my hand. A poker chip. Black. Scratched. No markings. I stared at it, confused. Then he stepped aside. The door creaked open behind him, and I stepped into a completely different world. Dim lights. Thick smoke. The smell of sweat and liquor. At least a dozen guys sat around poker tables in the basement, cash and chips stacked high, voices low, laughter dark and mean. No windows. No clocks. Just the sound of cards flipping and dreams dying. And then him. Ray. I didn't need anyone to introduce him. I knew. He sat at the far table, alone, like a spider in the center of its web. Sharp suit. Thin frame. Hair slicked back like it hadn't moved in a decade. His eyes found mine the second I stepped in. Cold. Curious. He smiled. And waved me over. I tried to breathe. Failed. Took a step anyway. 1 step closer to whoever Caleb had become. 1 step deeper into the fire. Sit. Ray said, his voice smooth like oil on glass. I did. He tapped his fingers on the table. Back so soon. I said nothing. He smirked. You really shouldn't play games, Caleb. Hearing that name, his name, directed at me felt like being skinned alive. But I held it together. Barely. I want to make things right, I said quietly. Ray chuckled. Do you even remember what you took? I froze. Took. His smile vanished. You think I'd forget? He said, voice dropping. You think a few weeks away changes the deal? My pulse spiked. I didn't know what Caleb had done, but I was about to find out. You have 3 days, Ray said, eyes boring into mine. Bring it back. I didn't speak. Or next time. He leaned closer. You won't be able to walk out of here. I stood up fast, hands trembling, and forced myself to the stairs without running. Outside, I collapsed behind a dumpster and finally let my lungs work again. 3 days. To find out what my brother stole. And why people wanted him, and now me, dead for it. When you're a twin, your face isn't yours alone. That truth always haunted me, but never like this. Because last night, after Ray's warning, after that hellhole basement and the 3-day deadline, I dug out our old prepaid phone, the one we shared back when we were kids and our parents tracked everything. We hadn't used it in years. Battery was dead, but I needed something, anything. Maybe Caleb had left something on it. A clue. A voice memo. One of his dumb audio rants he'd record when he couldn't sleep. So I charged it, booted it up, and almost dropped it when it unlocked without my face. Because it didn't recognize me. It unlocked on the first try using fingerprint scan, Caleb's thumbprint. The last unlock, 2 hours ago. I sat there in the dark, staring at the glowing screen like it was haunted. That phone hadn't left our closet in years. But somehow, someone used it tonight. Someone with my brother's fingerprint. I opened the gallery. Nothing. I checked the messages. One unread. From a number I didn't recognize. No words. Just an image. A map. Zoomed in on a warehouse near the docks. Marked with a red X. And a time, 1:15 a.m. It was already 12:47. I grabbed my coat and ran. The docks at night are a different planet. Everything smells like rust and old secrets. The fog clings to your skin like it knows your name. I found the warehouse. Number 43. Huge. Half collapsed. Fenced off with rusted wire and half a dozen keep-out signs that might as well have said, "Welcome back, Caleb." There were no lights inside. No sounds. But I pushed the gate open and stepped in anyway. The place was a maze of broken pallets and rotting crates. Every footstep echoed like a gunshot. I kept checking the time. 1:12, 1:13, 1:14, then I heard it. A phone buzzing. Not mine. Somewhere near the center of the warehouse, behind a stack of tarps. I followed it. Heartbeat thudding like war drums. And then I saw it. A burner phone, duct taped to a pole, screen lit up. Incoming call. The contact name, Dad. I stared at it, frozen. We hadn't spoken to our father in days. Not since I'd started pretending. But there it was, like some twisted trap. I answered. Hello. A voice I didn't recognize whispered through the static. You're late. My throat closed up. Where's Caleb? I asked. Silence. Then, he made his choice. What choice? Another pause. Then, check the crate. Number 311. The line went dead. I found it after 15 minutes of searching. Buried in the back, wedged between old shipping containers. Crate 311. I pried it open with a broken crowbar and stepped back as the lid fell forward. Inside was a backpack. Not mine. Not new. Caleb's. I recognized the patches. The frayed strap he never fixed. The little drawing he'd etched into the zipper pull when we were 13. I opened it slowly. Clothes. A cracked wallet. Our old student ID. His face grinning like the world hadn't touched him yet. And a flash drive. No label. No keychain. Just cold, brushed metal. I pocketed it. Started to close the crate. Then I saw something else. Taped to the side panel, hidden in shadow. A photo. Me and Caleb, age 6. Sitting on the swings. Covered in ice cream and sunshine. Except this version had red XS over both our faces. Drawn in marker. Fresh. The crate door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, heart in my throat. But no one was there. Just footsteps echoing outside, getting farther away. And laughter. Soft. Cruel. Caleb wasn't missing. He was being hunted. And now so was I. I was shaking when I got home. The crate. The photo. The call. The XS across our faces like we were already dead. But it was the flash drive that haunted me the most. It sat in my pocket like a bomb. Heavy. Silent. I waited until the apartment was completely still. Pulled the blinds. Double-locked the door. Then I slid the drive into my laptop. The screen flickered once. Then a folder popped up. One file. No name. Just a timestamp. 1:06 a.m., 12 days ago. I clicked it. It opened with static. Then my brother's face. He was in a dark room. Eyes bloodshot. Breathing heavy. A bruise blooming across his jaw like someone had tried to erase him. He stared at the camera. Silent for a long time. Then he spoke. If you're watching this, it means I didn't make it out. My chest tightened. I tried to fix it. I swear I did. But Ray, he doesn't forgive. You steal from him, you disappear. And I took something he wants back. His voice cracked. I thought I could make it right. Thought if I gave him what he wanted, he'd leave us alone. He looked down, then back up. But there's something worse than Ray. He leaned in, whispering like someone might hear him through the screen. Don't trust Mom. My whole body went still. You think you know her. We both did. But she's not just covering for Dad anymore. She's in this. Deep. I couldn't breathe. She helped Ray clean the money. She told me to keep quiet. Said if I didn't, we'd both go down. That's why I ran. He reached off camera. Grabbed something. Held it up. A USB, just like the one I'd found. This has everything, he whispered. Bank transfers. Voice memos. One video that'll make you hate her. My vision blurred. He was crying now. I wanted to protect you. But I messed up. And now, a bang behind him. He flinched. I gotta go. Hide this. Keep it safe. Another bang. Louder. Closer. His eyes locked with mine one last time. Please, don't become me. The screen went black. I sat there for 10 minutes. Motionless. Mind racing in 10 directions. All of them ending in a brick wall. Our mother. The one person I thought I could still believe in. She used to tuck us in with songs when Dad passed out drunk downstairs. She used to make Caleb pancakes shaped like dinosaurs because he said they tasted braver that way. She used to care. But now she was laundering money for the same man who wanted my brother dead and lying to my face every single day. I needed proof. I opened the flash drive again. There was another folder. For him only. Password protected. I typed in the obvious first. Caleb's birthday. Nope. Our childhood street. Nothing. Then I remembered. Glass Eye Jack. I typed it in. The folder opened. And what I saw next made me sick. Bank records. Dozens of them. All under fake names. Margot Hill, Rain Beller, A. Chandler. Every account showed the same thing. Massive deposits. Quick withdrawals. Then silence. All linked to small shell companies with one common point of contact. Our mom's personal email. I clicked into a folder labeled calls. Clips. Phone recordings. One stood out. Marked urgent. I pressed play. It was her. Clear as day. I told you, Ray, I can't keep covering for him. He's reckless. If he drags this into the light, we're all going down. You do what you have to do. Then silence. Then, just leave the other one out of it. My hand flew to my mouth. She wasn't even talking about Caleb anymore. She meant me. Leave the other one out of it. I sat there in the dark, laptop screen glowing like a funeral candle. My own mother had offered me up as collateral. Like I was disposable. Like I was next in line. And Ray? He wasn't just some underground loan shark anymore. He was her partner. Her shadow. Her shield. Which meant the only person who ever truly tried to protect me was the brother I thought had abandoned me. At 3:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. One message. No name. Just coordinates. And 3 words. Don't trust her. That's when I knew. Caleb was still alive. But someone was getting closer. I didn't sleep. Not a second. I kept staring at those 3 words on my screen. Don't trust her. Like they were stitched into my skin. He was alive. He had to be. No one else knew about that phrase. No one else could have sent it. Caleb was out there, somewhere, watching, hiding, surviving. But if he was hiding, why? Why not come to me? Why send clues instead of just showing up? Unless he was being watched too. The coordinates pointed to the edge of town. A place I hadn't thought about in years. The abandoned rail yard behind the old canning factory. Used to be busy, decades ago, before everything moved digital and dirty work got pushed out of sight. Now it was just rusted tracks, gutted warehouses, and enough silence to bury 100 secrets. I waited until sunrise. Grabbed the backpack Caleb left behind. Tossed the flash drive in it, some water, a flashlight, and, just in case, a pocket knife I found under Dad's old toolbox. It was dull, rusted, probably useless, but it made me feel less alone. When I got there, the yard was empty. No cars. No sounds. Just wind slicing through broken windows and the crows circling like they knew something I didn't. The GPS pinged one last time. I stood in front of a battered boxcar, tagged in red spray paint. Exit 18. That's what the graffiti said. But it didn't make sense. There were no exits here. Just gravel, metal, and ghosts. I climbed inside. And froze. Because someone had lived here. Sleeping bag. Empty water bottles. Food wrappers. A notebook. A plastic crate turned into a makeshift table. And in the center of it all, a small recorder, blinking red. It had one message on it. I pressed play. His voice filled the boxcar. Hey, if you're hearing this, it means you found me. Or found where I was. I sat down, breath caught in my throat. Things moved faster than I thought. Ray's people are watching every exit. I tried to call, but they're monitoring everything now. Even Mom. His voice shook. She made a deal with them. Traded silence for safety. Said it was the only way to keep you out of this. But I think she knew it was never going to be enough. He paused. I was close to getting something big. Real names. Real accounts. I've stashed the rest in a place they'll never check. He sighed. I left this here because I knew you'd come looking. You always did. Even when I messed everything up. The recorder clicked once. Then again. A different tone. Softer. Listen, you're not me. You were always the better one. The quieter one. The one who paid attention. That's why you're the only person who can finish this. The static faded. And then, in a whisper, go back to where we buried it. The place with the blue flowers. Silence. My skin went cold. The place with the blue flowers. There was only one place he could mean. The hill behind Grand's old cabin, where we used to dig up worms and hide bottle caps under stones like treasure. It was the last place we ever felt safe. The last place Dad hadn't poisoned with his fists and his silence. We called it the Hill of Blue, even though it only bloomed for 2 weeks each spring. I hadn't been there since Gran died. But Caleb had. He must have. He'd buried something there. Something they all wanted. Something dangerous enough to make our mother turn on her own son, and maybe now on me. I packed up the notebook he left. It was half full of scribbles, drawings, phrases, and a strange sketch of a cabin with arrows pointing to the chimney, the crawl space, and a stone marked B9. Like a treasure map drawn in panic. But before I could leave the boxcar, I heard it. A click. Then, footsteps on the gravel outside. Slow. Deliberate. I ducked down, heart slamming against my ribs. Someone else was here. I killed the flashlight. Held my breath. The steps moved past the door, stopped, turned around. Silence. Then, a voice I hadn't heard in days. Calm. Cold. You shouldn't have come here, sweetheart. It was her. Mom. Standing outside the boxcar. And she wasn't alone. There are moments where the world just tips. No warning. No logic. 1 second you're safe. The next, you're a ghost in your own skin. That was me, crouched in a boxcar, flashlight off, holding my breath, while my mother stood 10 feet away, whispering lies to the men who wanted my brother dead. He's in there, she said softly, like she was delivering bad news to a neighbor. The older twin. The one who took it. She meant Caleb, but she was talking about me. I stayed frozen. Every muscle in my body screamed to run, but my brain was still trying to compute the betrayal. She sounded calm, clinical. No hint of fear, no hesitation. You said if I helped you, you'd leave the other one alone, she whispered to someone behind her. A man answered, deep voice, laced with smoke. And we will, once he gives it back. What if he doesn't? A pause. Then he's just like his brother. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about protection. This wasn't about covering for Caleb. This was a trade. She gave them me, in exchange for her own safety. Her silence. Her freedom. I was currency. They stepped closer. Boots on gravel. I saw a flashlight beam sweep across the doorway. Heard the metal creak. I didn't wait. I bolted through the other side of the car, shoulder-checking a stack of crates and diving into the open rail yard. Shouts exploded behind me. Hey, he's running. My legs burned. My lungs ripped. I didn't look back. Not until I hit the edge of the fence line and vaulted over it, slicing my arm on the wire as I landed hard on the other side. I kept running. Through the trees. Across the ditch. Down the old canal path. My vision blurred from sweat and panic. But one thought cut through it all like a blade. She chose them over me. I didn't stop until I hit the old highway. Hid behind a billboard for a motel that had shut down 3 summers ago. My hands were shaking too hard to unlock my phone. I finally got the flashlight back on. Blood. Down my arm. Not deep, just enough to sting. I wrapped it in a piece of my shirt and pulled out Caleb's notebook again. Turned to the sketch of Grand's cabin. 3 arrows. 1 to the chimney. 1 to the crawl space. 1 to the stone marked B9. He'd left me instructions. I just had to make it through the night. I hitchhiked the rest of the way. Didn't talk. Didn't make eye contact. Told the driver my name was Aaron. Just some kid trying to get back to his uncle's farm. He dropped me 2 miles from the hill. I walked the rest. The sun was barely rising when I saw it. Grand's cabin, still standing, barely. The porch was collapsed. Windows busted. But the old blue paint still clung to the siding like stubborn memories. And behind it, the hill, carpeted in blue flowers. Even now, even after everything, I almost cried. I moved fast. Checked the chimney first. Nothing but soot and a rusted-out bird's nest. Then the crawl space. Something was buried there. A metal box. Heavy. Locked. But not sealed. I forced it open with a knife. Inside. Photos. Dozens of them. All printed. Labeled. Stacks of documents. Wires. Microdrives. Names. And a USB. This wasn't just evidence. This was insurance. Proof that Ray wasn't just a lone shark. He was a trafficker. Blackmail, bribes, payoffs to cops, city council, even a judge. And every single account linked to shell companies tied to one email. Moms. I didn't even feel the wind shift behind me. Didn't hear the leaves crunch. Until the voice cut through the silence. Low. Familiar. Damn. Caleb, you just couldn't leave it alone. I turned slowly. It was him. Ray. Wearing gloves. Smiling. And holding a gun. I've heard people say your life flashes before your eyes right before it ends. But mine didn't. No childhood memories. No summer laughter. No faces. Just silence. And the sound of Ray cocking the hammer. You've caused a lot of problems, kid, he said. I gave your mother a chance. I gave you a chance. My hands were raised. Slowly. No sudden moves. I'm not Caleb, I said. He smirked. You think I care what name's on the body? My heart was pounding so hard. I thought it might give out before he did. The metal box with the evidence was still at my feet. One wrong step, and I'd never see anything again. But behind him, movement. The faintest flicker. A shadow. At first, I thought it was my brain glitching from adrenaline. But then, crack. A rock slammed into Ray's wrist. He shouted, "Drop the gun." And he appeared. From the trees. Covered in dirt. Face gaunt. One eye bruised. But breathing. Alive. Caleb. He tackled Ray like a hurricane. Fists flying. Knees slamming into ribs. I grabbed the gun and stumbled back. Blood in my mouth. Unsure if it was mine. Ray was stronger. He flipped Caleb. Punched him across the jaw. Went for the weapon. Bang. The shot echoed through the trees. Ray collapsed. Gasping. One hand clutching his leg. Not dead, but not running anywhere. I stood there. Arms shaking. Gun still raised. Caleb looked up at me. And for the first time in weeks, we were both, just us. No lies. No masks. Just two broken twins trying to survive. We didn't run this time. We called the feds. Sent them everything. The flash drives, the accounts, the photos, the phone recordings. Ray was arrested within the hour. Mom, too. She tried to deny it. Said she was forced. That she didn't know. But the evidence sang louder than she ever could. Turns out, she'd been laundering money for Ray's operation for years. Even cut a deal to frame Caleb when things got too messy. And me? I was the fallback. The insurance. Just another pawn. It took months to sort everything out. Interviews. Courtrooms. Protective custody. But eventually, we were free. Caleb moved 3 states away. Started working with a nonprofit that helps kids escape gang pipelines. Said he owed the world something. I stayed behind. Changed my name. Started over. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. Glass-eyed Jack. That stupid phrase that saved my life. The lie that became a lifeline. And the brother I thought I'd lost. Became the one person I trust with everything. Because when the world mistook me for him, it nearly killed me. But it also made me see the truth. We weren't just twins. We were each other's way out. Always had been. Always will be.